Hey, friends out there, this is Thursday, December 8th, 2022, and it's just about 12 and a half minutes past 5 in the morning here in Northern California. And as usual, I'll talk about a few different things today. I hope everybody's doing as well as they can in this crazy ass world run by money loving madmen bent on misery for the masses. Yeah, friends, listen. When it comes to deciding reality, think for yourself, please. Be who you really want to be first, not who you superficially think you might like to be, based on ego and vanity, things like that. But deep down inside, in the marrow of your very soul, it's you and only you and God alone, your owner, our owner, that can build that kind of character that we really insist upon because nobody's going to tell us, nobody's going to pigeonhole us, right? But they do. So often people do get pigeonholed into a certain persona and character, and it's not a good thing. It happens even in families. You see sibling rivalry and problems, fighting, infighting, and it's just a really sad state of affairs. The human condition is, for lack of a better term, it's effed up. I mean, it's just the way it is. And each one of us has to accept our responsibility in being a little effed up. And then we take it from there, and we're in a position to help others that are struggling and haven't really learned the source of comfort and encouragement and strength to contend and to continue to cope in a crazy ass world run by madmen. I mean, listen, there's no doubt about it. Believe what your eyes tell you. Your eyes aren't lying. Okay, they love money. They love all the accoutrements thereof. That includes things like power, not just possessions. It's control. Okay, these people will sell their conscience. You got to understand. And normal people value their conscience, their soul, their integrity, their honor. We have a little bit of fear and reverence for this. Well, maybe there really is a God, even if you're an atheist or an agnostic. You just never gave it any thought. You're a secularist. But hey, there's a part of us that's, what, we don't like death. Instinctively, we don't like death. It's very abnormal, very unnatural for somebody to say, I don't care. But we've all had that sense that, hey, you know what? Goodbye, cruel world, right? Live and let die. We all get that too because we're all humans. We have a lot in common, a lot of the same fears and insecurities. Okay, it's tough. And we should all be very grateful, very glad, at least knowing that if nobody else knows us, there is one that does. Knows us better than we can ever know ourselves. Knows what we're really after, knows what we really want, knows the things that are bugging us, the source of those things, who's doing it to us. We all live with a lot of organic crapola, okay? I mean, from diseases to ailments, aging alone. I mean, everybody's going to age. You start aging from the time you're born. It's just a body. We got to relinquish it. We know that from a very young age. That's a tough pill to swallow. Death hanging over our heads day in and day out. That's about as bad as it gets. And what about brutal, punishing heat? What about bitter, freezing cold? These are very unpleasant things, organically speaking, that we all have to face. They're across the board, everybody. All the evil men, all the righteous men. Like Christ said, the rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. Okay, whatever you want to use that a metaphor for, it's stuff that bugs us organically. And there's only one person we could take it to. That's our owner. That's the Creator God Almighty. Male and female, they created us. Just like they are, male and female. Perfectly balanced. Very powerful as a unit. the two of them coming together, just like human beings are and every other creature out there is. And plant life, too, often it's in plant life, right? Plants need to be pollinated, male and female. So it's obvious there is a creator, there's a designer. The stuff just it would not become like it is. Okay, there's a thing called atrophy, or not atrophy, but entropy. Entropy is where stuff just naturally breaks down. It's just a natural process. You could create a beautiful sculpture, but you leave it outside long enough and it's going to turn to dust again. But God's got it all under control. See, God is perfect, and there's no way we can ever improve on God. So God is reliable. And this idea of love, I mean, the love of God is everywhere. It's evident. I mean, what about all the great gifts in the puppy dogs and kitty cats and on, the baby critters, how cute. What is that emotion that is conjured up in us when we think of cuteness? It's a loving feeling. There's a God, there's a loving God. All those creatures are God. Everything belongs to God. Everything is God's property. This planet is alive. It's God's property. Okay? We're his equally beloved children. How would it be? You put yourself in God's position, not being religious here, but just let's look at the obvious stuff here. It's God, there is a God, and there is a universe, and there is galaxies, and there is solar systems, and there is habitable planets like the one we're on. We know a few things, and God owns everything, right? I mean, who else can claim ownership? Nobody takes anything with them when they die, and we know how many generations have come and gone. So why do the same caliber of people continue to run the show? Because of one advantage. It's not really. You see, you're not smart if you've sold your soul for a loaf of bread. But that's who these people are. That's what they've done, essentially. It's sad. It's really sad. Our hearts should break, and we should reach out to them and convince them, hey, you ought, to have a little reverence for your owner and respect, and you should be nice to people and live by the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated and all that. But that's all hooey. Separation of church and state. Oh, you're religious. You got no voice. You're moot. You're muted. We're exiling you. You got no voice. You're ousted, right? Because wow, you said something that came from some religious text from the Bible. Oh my God, no, you got no voice. No, the secular state. No, that's law. I mean, have you ever seen more draconian? Look at the power that the state. Have you ever seen a church? I mean, except for like Catholic Church, maybe cutting your head off and stuff like that in the past. The things that Americans were escaping based on Protestantism, basic, just traditional Christianity, where you just put Christ first. You don't need a priest. You don't need a church even, but you need to learn the Word. The Word being the gospel, the good news. The good news is what we're after, but that was outlawed by the Catholic Church. So yeah, it was very authoritarian, very draconian, and murderous. Okay, that's the history of the Catholic Church. I'm sorry to say, but read your history. Okay, but now we got the state doing that, making arbitrary, capricious laws. They add new laws, they subtract laws. It is completely in flux constantly, perpetually. There's no basis for reality. There's no reality in this world. It makes no sense. How we divvy up the profits. Oh, we say, oh yes, and just believe it. It all makes sense that you're born with this thing called the cost of living. We shove it down your throat. We shove our reality down your throat and tell you, yeah, don't question it. It makes sense. Just go with it. And you see people get an education, and then they make a lot of money. They get a career, and they do this, and they do that. Or if you're lucky, maybe you can be an actor, or you could be a comedian, or a musician, or maybe an athlete, and make a lot of money. But it's all about being successful, as we define it, and making gobs of dough. And to me, it's disgusting. When I see the ways that the society operates, I think it is not me. I mean, I want to think I'm crazy because it just makes no sense to me. But it's not me. I see clearly. I'm seeing through God's eyes. You can too. Anybody can. He loves us all equally. You ask for something good, like the right opinion on stuff and the right reality, he's going to give it to you in spades, man. But it's alarming. It's shocking when you realize we're infuriating God and he's going to draw the line in the sand. And thank God for that. For the righteous and meek out there who just want to live and let live, peace to mankind, goodwill toward mankind, all that kind of thing. Live and let live, man. Share. Get along with each other like one big extended family, better than a family. But our parents are God. We understand who God really is and how we need to treat each other to please God, the grantor of happiness. A sound reality. What is a sound reality? It's based on things like fairness, at least. There's not a semblance of fairness. It just keeps getting, my whole life I've watched things get more and more unfair in America, more and more unjust, where money just became more and more. We need more and more and more. You see, it's burden, it's cost, it's price, but you got the mainstream media in there mind effing us, telling us, oh no, housing values are up and that's good. You understand the madness? And then we're spending $50 billion a year to subsidize housing costs for poor people that can't afford to pay their housing costs. And yet homelessness has continued to increase. Desperation, unaffordable housing. It's insanity. The world is insane. And if you just say that's my religion is the state, I trust in the secular state, and that being my reality, I conform to that, I comply to that. Because I'm afraid of the law, man. I mean, hey, they could take all my stuff, they could put me in jail, they could fine me, they could do a number of things, ruin my reputation. I mean, that's powerful, man. That's church I'm afraid of. The church of the secular state. That's my religion. I trust in it. I vote faithfully, and I do this and that. Well, listen, friends, not voting is as much a statement. If you're doing it with great thought, forethought, and deliberation, it's fine. If you say, I'm done, like me, for now, I'm disillusioned. If I see some guy I really like, then I'll say, okay, I'm going to re-register and I'm going to vote this election. But that's it. I'm just done. I mean, you don't blame me. If you take us on the wrong path, don't blame me. I'm a weirdo misfit, right? So obviously, I haven't been doing good in the political theater. I don't like politicians for the most part. The vast majority of them, I think.